essential interlocking safeguards are lost when power-operated points are worked manually and trains hand-signalled over them. For this reason, only staff who have been trained and certified as competent in the manual operation of power points may carry out these point-winding duties. Hand signalmen must be similarly trained and certified as competent. The requirements are laid down in the Rulebook, Section B, Part 2. It is your responsibility as a points operator to ensure that trains can pass safely over points which have been operated locally, perhaps because of a defect or part of a planned disconnection. Where a hand signalman is appointed, he will be responsible for all communication with the signalman, and he will pass on the signalman's instructions to you. If you're alone, or acting as the hand signalman as well, remember these important considerations. Report to the signalman as soon as you arrive at the points. Do exactly as the signalman tells you, and once you've carried out his instructions, tell him what you've done. Ensure that power to the points is cut off before manually operating or securing the points. Don't restore the points to power operation until specifically authorized to do so. At all times, of course, remember your personal safety. So let's begin by looking at some of the more common types of power-operated points and see how each are dealt with. When instructed to operate points manually, you'll need to obtain a point handle, a point clip and a scotch. These may be held in lock cabinets at the line side, for which you'll need a 222 key. This same key also unlocks point machine covers. At some locations, the clips and scotches will be held in the signal box, where this is close by. Take this equipment to the points you have been instructed to operate manually. Before doing anything, telephone the signalman. Tell him who you are, where you are, and come to a clear understanding on which points are to be operated. Make sure any message you give or receive is repeated back, so there is no risk of misunderstanding. Let's take a look at a motor point. The identification plate, which is off-center, gives the point number, followed by the letter A or B if it's one end of a crossover. When the blade is closed on the stock rail, at the side to which the plate is offset, the point is in the normal position. When the blade is open or away from the stock rail on this side, the point is in the reverse position. It's essential to understand these positions to follow the instructions the signalman will give you. Point end numbers are sometimes provided additionally on the point machine covers. You must ensure that power to the points is cut off and the point motor is not running before inserting the crank handle. If the point motor is running continuously, tell the signalman. He'll restore the points to their previous position, then once the motor has stopped, you may insert the point handle. Before operating the points, examine the closure for obstructions. This may have caused the failure. Remove any obstruction, but don't do it with your hands or feet. After you've removed the obstruction, tell the signalman. He'll test the points under power and tell you the result, so stay by the phone. If the points do have to be operated manually, the signalman will tell you which position, normal or reverse. He will then tell you if detection has been obtained at the signal box. He may instruct you to clip and scotch for movements in a facing direction, or scotch only for trailing movement. The first type of power point we're going to look at is the electro-hydraulic clamp lock machine. Using a 222 key, remove the padlock and open the lid. Turn the center switch clockwise to the manual position. Insert the point handle and hold the sprung direction lever to the left to the position in which the points are to be moved. Keep pumping after the blade has closed until all movement of the tie bar has ceased. You have now pumped the points into the reverse position. Now place the scotch between the open blade and stock rail. And secure the closed blade with the clip. Attach the clip as close as you can to the toe of the blade. Make sure the clip is done up tightly and that the pin is inserted. If the points are to be left unattended, the clip must be padlocked and the key removed. Once the points are secured, telephone the signalman and tell him which position they're in. Let's have a closer look at the clamp lock controls. In the centre is the power manual switch. This switch must be turned clockwise for manual operation. To the left is the sprung direction lever. This must be held in the required position while the machine is pumped. Towards you for the reverse position, away from you for the normal position. The point handle is placed in the socket to the right. When instructed to restore the points to the normal position so that control can be handed back to the signalman, remove the clip, then remove the scotch. Remember, keep hands and feet clear of the point blades. Now pump the points to normal. Now turn the centre switch to the power position. Don't forget to do this or the signalman won't have control. Finally close the lid and padlock it. Telephone the signalman. He'll want to run the points a few times under power, so stay by the phone while this test is carried out. The second machine we're going to look at is the electromechanical HW type. Proceed exactly as you did with the clamp lock, but in this case the point handle is a crank rather than a pump. Using the 222 key, remove the padlock from the door at the motor end and open this door. Place the crank handle in the hole provided and wind the motor to either normalise or reverse the points as the signalman requires. Take care not to skin your knuckles on the ballast. Continue to wind to the fullest extent, and when finished, depress the small button below the crank handle hole. This action should restore point detection to the signal box. If it fails to do so, it'll be necessary to clip and scotch for facing movement, or scotch only for trailing movement. To wind the points in the opposite direction, in this case to normal, repeat the operation, but turn the crank handle in the opposite direction. Once again, telephone the signalman and stand by while he tests the points. The third type of point motor we're going to look at is the electromechanical M3 machine. This type is the oldest in use and has a smaller crank handle. Remove the padlock from the hasp using a 222 key. This action disconnects control and detection from the signal box. Now unscrew the threaded cap using the squared socket in the crank handle. Once the cap is removed, the crank handle may be inserted into the hole, and when engaged, the point can be manually wound. The crank handle must be turned until it will turn no further. To wind the point in the opposite direction, in this case to normal, the crank handle is, once again, simply turned in the opposite direction. Once the point is fully over, the cap must be replaced. and the hasp secured. This should restore detection to the signal box.